All right, what's up, y'all? We've got the lower camera angle today. My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In The Image Clothing Company. Today is the 24th of September, 2025. This is a video that we will film here. Okay, check it out. This is our main side of In The Image Clothing Company. I'll talk about each of the four sides. We'll talk about where clothing sits, and then I'll get into the discussion. But this video is about even foot and ankle flexion. The importance of even ankle flexion is the title of this video. We've got videos titled The Importance of Even Blank under In The Image Clothing Company's main side, like the sternocleidomastoid insertions, the lat insertions, the latissimus dorsi is the muscle, importance of even pinky fingers, the importance of even Achilles tendon insertions, importance of even different sides of the body, meaning both of the sides, and having to be even because there's two sides to the body. This video feels weird to me. I don't like talking down on the camera. I don't like it, but I need to have it here for the sake of being able to show both my ankles here and both the dorsiflexion, meaning lifting the toes, and the plantar flexion, meaning pointing the toes of both of my ankles, okay? But then I also need to correlate that with the hips and what that does, okay? And with the shoulders and what that does. So I need this camera angle like this, even though it's not so comfortable for me looking down like this. I just feel weird about it. It doesn't feel quite normal, okay? So anyway, this is In The Image Clothing Company's main side. We allow the human body to work. That's the point. We come at it through clothing. It's the only thing placed physically on us. The human body is placed physically on Earth. There's a center line to the human body, the sternum, the spine, the trachea, the nose, and our jaw, naturally stabilizing the entire body. And there's a center of gravity that Earth pulls down on everything with. We have to mesh those two things with our bodies and Earth's gravity. It's got to be in the same location, okay? And we place clothing on our bodies. It can be very imbalanced. It can be oversized. It can have just things in it that don't allow it to stay centered, fit correct, and be made from 100% natural materials. Those are the three things we put the focus on when it comes to allowing the human body to work. So we give a lot of free information, a lot of free modifications in clothing to allow your body to work. We will always have good clothing, great clothing if I were to say, under In The Image Clothing Company, okay? Doing those three things: staying centered, fitting correct, being made from 100% natural materials, because the human body is natural. Anything unnatural is man-made, and it's altering the body that's not man-made. Designed in the image of God, we are not something that we can alter and then have the body still work. It's just a mechanical machine placed onto a rock in space. Everything within the body has a neutral position, and then there's just motion outside of that neutral. There you go, okay? Eating, standing, walking, sitting, breathing, sleeping, hydration. We discuss all the things we do as a human being and just how to let the body do it. Natural, neutral, normal. Synonyms within the human being, and there you go, okay? But there are three other sides to us. In The Image Clothing Company, poodles is another one of our fourths. We specialize in purebred standard poodles. We breed them, properly registering them under the American Kennel Club, and we advocate for doing so. We keep less dogs in shelters and more dogs at homes by giving our dogs birth certificates. And we do a lot with advocating for dogs, proper ownership of dogs. Letting dogs stay natural is our slogan. So that comes through all the ways it does within the human body as well. Feeding dogs, letting dogs just stay unaltered in a modern man-made world like us human beings. There's so many things in modern day that just didn't exist in the past. We wouldn't have to have dealt with, and the dogs themselves wouldn't either. So we just get in depth with a lot of that. Also, events, poodle parade events in the state of Utah here, the United States of America. Bring your poodles of any size that are purebred or poodles that are mixes of any size. We'll have a lot of good times, a lot of fun in the mountains, just wherever we do outside here in Utah, or inside if, right? I'll give information on letting dogs stay natural, but a lot of it will just be having fun together, okay? Dog products same as human beings, they're placed onto the dogs. The dogs can't be altered. In the Image Clothing Company dog products, collars, leashes, harnesses, similar things, staying centered around the dogs, allowing the dogs to just stay unaltered. Our collars themselves as human beings need to stay centered. All the musculature going through our collars in our neck can't be altered from left to right when there's a center line. Again, meshing with Earth's gravity's center that it pulls down on everything with. So, we do a lot, and we do a lot, okay? And then we've got another fourth of us in the Image Clothing Company podcast where we have deep discussions on the gospel of Jesus Christ, aka the truth of all things. We're all human beings placed on the same earth. We all have one God. We discuss him there as he says that he is, yet we don't do it perfectly, but we give a lot of beautiful insights on just life in general. That's basically what we do, is just discuss life as it is. 158 episodes is what we're on as of the last one we filmed when it comes to In the Image Clothing Company podcast. Check it out if you'd like to. And then we have In the Image Clothing Company music, the last fourth to mention here. A lot of what I do there is show the sizing and setup of guitar to not alter that neutral wrist and that natural working open palm that travels up to the shoulder. The hands are essentially the shoulders, as the feet are essentially our hips. Holy cow, choking up. The human body can only ever work activated as a whole, so if we alter our hands while we play guitar, then our whole bodies will be damaged. So I do that. I make music and place it on In the Image Clothing Company music. A lot of lyricism, freestyle type music is often what I do, geared around the gospel of Jesus Christ. We have Metronome Madness. We're on episode 28 of that as of the last one that I have done. So there you go. Okay, the four sides of us in a nutshell, if you will, a little explanation of each. But we do a lot, especially under In the Image Clothing Company poodles, okay? Stick around for it. So then we'll talk about where clothing sits, as we do, right? For everybody, it doesn't matter. Man, woman, tall, short, skinny, fat, any age, any part of the earth, any time period to ever be, you're just a human being. Our pants need to be entirely above our hips at what's called our natural waist, where we actually bend side to side at the spine. Above the hips, but below those lowest ribs, that's our natural waist. And with our pant waistline there, it needs to be slightly higher in the front than the rear, because that's just our neutral position on Earth's gravity to keep our body's musculature able to stay activated and allow the skeletal system, which is what the human body really is about, to just stay neutral, okay? So then we have tops we wear as well. The tops that we wear have seams on top of our shoulders. They need to sit evenly behind the peak of our shoulders, because our shoulders only ever work behind our head. That's just where they connect mechanically, and our shoulders will follow the shoulder seams. So there you go. The edge seams of our tops need to be right at the very edges of our shoulders, just as close as we can get to the functionality of that joint. Otherwise it won't be able to function. It's both a joint of material, the top material to the sleeve material, as well as a joint of body parts. The clavicle or collarbone, along with the scapula or shoulder blade, meeting the humerus or the upper arm bone here at this shoulder joint, okay? So there you go. Two things we have as prerequisites under In the Image Clothing Company to not alter the body. These things down here in my shoes that we call laces are just ropes. We're just weaving ropes across the top of our feet. We're calling them shoelaces, but there's only one way to shape a weave of a rope across the mechanics of the feet that grip arches inward on each side of the body, opposing the center line to keep us vertical. That's not going to alter our feet. And that's what we title In the Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique. With the technique though, we don't only lace shoes, we also tie shoes at the top as well to keep them on our feet. When we tie shoes, we have to do it evenly over toward the inside on both feet, toward the center line of the body, because there is one. And then we've got evenness traveling up our whole body, okay? I didn't start tying my shoes evenly until I was 24 years old. So I was tying shoes toward just one direction, and that rotates your entire body traveling up, okay? So here we are. Secondly, our other prerequisite, after shoelacing, we also remove all tags from clothing. Anywhere tags are placed in clothing, first off, they're only decades old as of today's date. but secondly, they either cause a physical gap, changing the body's only working position, and or they just don't allow musculature to activate, and then the body's trying to compensate. The body can't compensate because everything in it has an individual role to play, and one thing can't make up for the role of another thing, or else the whole body's damaged, right? It's all there to work as one. So here we go. Okay, the importance of even ankle flexion. Now, we've got two sides to the body. We've got 2 feet. Above those feet, we've got ankles. Above those ankles, we've got lower legs, then the knees, then the upper legs, then the hips, then the spine, then the shoulders, then the upper arms, then the elbows, then the forearms, then the wrists, then the hands. On top of all that is our head, our jaws stabilizing not only our head, but our entire body. At the feet, very farthest thing down, the base of our bodies on Earth's gravity, like I was showing at the beginning, we have the ability to lift our toes, dorsiflexion, okay? And we have the ability to point our toes, plantar flexion, okay? And if we don't have even dorsiflexion and plantar flexion on each side of our bodies, then our whole body's traveling up will be altered, right? We talk about it, a firm foundation. I mean, in the gospel of Jesus Christ, we talk often about a firm foundation on the rock that is Jesus Christ. We just talk often under In the Image Clothing Company about the feet and how they're so important because they are the foundation. They're the lowest thing on Earth's gravity. Like building a building, if everything traveling up the whole body or everything traveling up the whole building is working well and done correct, built properly, connected and neutral, right, in all the ways that it could be, yet the very foundation of the body being the feet, or the building being the part that actually connects it to the earth, isn't working well, the whole thing will just topple over easily, okay? The feet are huge. The feet grip arches, okay? And they really grip. The feet and the hands are pretty much the exact same thing. They really are. There's only one difference in the amount of bones in each of them. They both have arches. I call these hand arches, right? The natural rounding to our open palm, with good nails on the fingers, good nails on the toes, all the way to the tips, fully supporting them, cut relatively flat, and then you can round the corners, but then you won't have rolling. If they're cut pretty well flat on the tips, then we can stay in those neutrals, okay? Like the neutral wrist, which is an easy thing to show on video. I said it in this already, but let me just be clear to show. There's a neutral to everything in the body, and from there it has motion outside of that neutral in all directions. That's how the feet are working with the hands, if you will. They're just basically the exact same thing. The neutral wrist is straight out from the pinky finger. The neutral feet are straight out from the pinky toes, forward. So, with a gripped arch, our bodies have this nice outward curvature that travels up from the bottom of our feet through the lower leg. The lower leg bone, the bones, there's 2 down there in the lower leg that allows rotations. They are actually outwardly curved slightly themselves. So when you grip an arch, it allows for that neutral from the knee, curving slightly outward down to the bottom of our feet. And in that position, now all those bones and ligaments, tendons, muscles in the feet, and you can look into your hands to see very, very similar mechanics to the feet, they can then track in line, right? If you look at the hand's motion here, all the little bones in the hand out to the fingertips and all the way up to the elbow have to just clear each other neutral, straight out from that pinky. Otherwise, if things aren't in their neutral position, you'll have just angles like this that are just not straight, and things will just cramp up and bind up, and you'll alter the workings of your hand. And I show it with the hand because it's basically the same thing as the feet. So within that neutral hand, you can have that open, rounded palm, okay? within the neutral foot arch gripped, you can have that arch open, activated, supporting the body from underneath. And in that position, you can roll your feet in, come back up to neutral, and you can roll your feet out and come back in to neutral. Under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company, there's a video titled Where Even Hips Come From. And I focused the majority of the video on the feet because that is where your open hips actually come from, okay? As I said a few minutes ago here, the feet are essentially the hips. They really are, right? The hand out here rotating travels all the way to the shoulder. The foot down there rotating travels all the way to the hips. So we need our feet, just as everything in our bodies needs to be neutral. From here, now you have just clearance between all the joints and all the bones to just move. Like my hand here, you can see what my hand's doing and you can see what my foot is doing. Basically the exact same thing. Straight out from that pinky finger, neutral. Straight out from that pinky toe, neutral. And now here, there's also rotations, okay? In a neutral. Same thing on the other side. Neutral, you've got dorsiflexion, neutral, plantar flexion, neutral, and you've got rotations, and there you go. Rounding to the hands, correlating with rounding to the gripped arch in the foot. But if we have laces that collapse the arches in our feet, now we've taken that neutral position, round, open, between all the bones, and in that position, allowing motion. If you have laces that collapse the arches in your feet, like flattening out your hands, now everything is having a hard time moving because the neutral is actually a rounding. And if laces are collapsing your feet, the actual lacing part, from down here at the start of where we weave the laces, all the way up to where you tie the knot, not just the tying of our shoes, but the actual laces that go across the top of our feet in that weave pattern. As we move, that weave reacts with itself as our feet are inside our shoes, and that will really affect what side is being pushed down versus what side's allowed to open up. And so that's what we do within the Image Clothing Company shoelace technique, is allow room for that natural shape of the feet arches, okay? And that's so essential because regardless of if your feet are pointing forward or not, let's say you're not standing like this and you're not standing uneven, right? But you're actually standing neutral, pointing the pinky toes forward. Still, you have to have your feet neutral in the grippedness of the arch, right? Rather than having them collapse down in or having them excessively rolled out, they need to be neutral there, as well as neutral rotation-wise, internal versus external, okay? Internal versus external. We have a neutral between that. Flattened, collapsed arches versus excessively rolled out. There's a neutral between that as well. So that's where we need to be in order to have everything just clear itself well in the feet, through the ankles, up the lower legs with those two bones in there that have their own rotations, and then traveling up to allow the knee to track in line. From there, coming up to the hips, so the hips aren't altered, because that will go to the spine, up to the shoulders, and out to the hands. And then your whole body will be damaged if your feet don't have even workings. In this video specific, dorsiflexion and plantar flexion, okay? So this is the thing with dorsiflexion and plantar flexion, is where does it come from? This is the big thing. Obviously, at this point, at least in this video, what we've been talking about for the most part of it is the lacing and tying of our shoes. But not only, even shoe lacing on both feet, even shoe tying over toward the center line on both feet to allow that neutral position, and just the same on both sides of the body. But just as everything within the body can affect everything else within the body, our feet can be affected by our hips traveling down, from our shoulders traveling down, from our hands that correlate directly with the feet traveling all the way down, from our jaw stabilizing our whole body traveling down. And so we have to remember, as we say often under In the Image Clothing Company, and it's just the case, usually when there's a pain place in the body, if there's a part of the body that's feeling pain or having something not work well in it, it's almost always being caused from something else in the body. Where we're feeling the pain or where things aren't working correct, unless there's actually been an injury to that part of the body, it's normally trying to do compensation for something else. So yeah, so let's discuss this a little bit with the plantar flexion and dorsiflexion of our feet, because hips, okay, we talk often under In the Image Clothing Company about, well, what I just did at the beginning of this up until now. We've been talking a lot about shoelacing. One of the biggest things that allowed me to understand what I now know, to be able to found In the Image Clothing Company to begin with, to learn about how the anatomy of the human body actually works to begin with. Another thing that's really, really, really huge in its effect on the human body is drawstrings, right? How drawstrings affect body mechanics under In the Image Clothing Company's main site. You can check it out. But just as our shoelaces are just ropes, our drawstrings are just ropes. And if we're tying one side of a rope over the other side, we're just twisting our whole pelvis, okay? And if we tie just opposite, the other side over this side, we're just twisting our whole pelvis, okay? Every breath you take, you're expanding your whole body, really. Your rib cage should expand in 360 degrees, meaning all the way around every breath we take. And it takes the entire body to stabilize, because a lot has to happen to breathe. All of our ribs, they're physical bones, but they actually move when we breathe. And our whole body has to stabilize for that to happen. The jaw's stabilizing, the feet are stabilizing, the shoulders are having to be out of the way for the rib cage to expand. And all this is happening through the whole body, while the abdomen is also going out and in, right where our drawstrings are placed around. So every breath you ever take, if you have a knot around your waist, one side over the other, that's just rotating your hips, then that's happening every single breath, because you're expanding, pushing against that knot, and then you're contracting when you breathe out and relaxing away from that knot. So your whole hips are being rotated every time you take a breath, which is multiple times a minute, the entire time you're alive. If you have a drawstring around your waist, meaning anything, a ribbon, a bow of some kind for like decoration, if you will, right? Fashion around like a dress, if it's a solid rope to hold your pants on, if it's whatever it could be with a knot around your waist, it'll rotate your entire body, not just your pelvis, but the hips or the pelvis structure are essentially the feet, okay? And then it also travels up and out to the hands. So this is the big thing with the drawstrings. If we tie a right-handed drawstring knot, left side over the right, we twist our pelvis, what's called anterior, which is like a forward tilt, and then to the left. That's just what a rope would do if it's pulling on the pelvis. So now in a position like this, what you actually have is more of an angle down on your right foot, meaning more dorsiflexion of your right foot, and more pointing or plantar flexion, meaning less sharp of an angle of your left foot. Okay, I'll show it with my hands. As I move my pelvis like this and then back to neutral, as if I had a right-handed knot tied in a drawstring twisting my hips, I'll show with my hands what my feet will be doing as far as plantar flexion versus dorsiflexion. Okay, so right-handed knot at the waist, twisting the pelvis this way, your feet will go like this. Okay, what my hands are doing, the right foot will dorsiflex more, the left foot will plantar flex more. So now in your entire life, the entire time you're within a drawstring tied left side over the right, your feet coming from your pelvis being twisted are changed in the flexion. So now let's say you have a drawstring tied like that, a right-handed knot. Your feet are already in an imbalance, more dorsiflexed on the right and more plantar flexed on the left, and now you just go through life like this. So now you have just differences at your feet from your hips. And it's not your hips' fault, it's clothing. It's the rope placed around our hips. Same thing would happen in a left-handed knot. Okay, the pelvis will go anterior or forward in a sense, and left. Okay, just because of what the knot will do to twist the hips. Traveling down to the feet, you'll have more dorsiflexion on the left foot, more plantar flexion on the right, and now you're going through life more like this. Okay, uneven. But the big thing is, it'll cause your feet to rotate as well, because you won't keep your feet straight if your pelvis is twisted. Your feet will just move to accommodate for your twisted pelvis. So this is a left-handed knot at the waist. You'd be standing more like this, but then you try to stand up to stay vertical, and now your feet are uneven. Okay, what would that be the same as doing? Tying, yeah, that'd be the same as tying, holy cow, I just want to explain this. I just didn't think I would explain it like this, but yeah, I mean, I understand this. This is just beautiful to put with this. Tying a left-handed knot on your waist, twisting your hips, would be the same as actually this down at the feet. Yes, because it would internally rotate the right hip and it would externally rotate the left hip. Traveling down to the foot, internal rotation at the right foot, external rotation at the left foot in a left-handed knot at a drawstring. I know this is kind of a lot of explanation, but this will be good. These videos are eternal, so this is really great. This is the same as tying a left-handed knot on both of your shoes. So now, let's say you've got a left-handed knot at your waist and you've got a left-handed knot at both feet. You'll walk around like this, okay? And so this foot will be more plantar flexed. This one's more dorsiflexed, as you can just tell the position I'm in, right? Traveling from the pelvis down or the feet up, and now you go through life like this. But what's more common for us to see, because we live in a right-handed world, as we say often under In The Image Clothing Company, because what we do is get out of these chronic patternings and scar tissue that gets built up through clothing imbalances like I'm showing here, and they're right-handed. Clothing patterns themselves, but even if we just call right-handed knots a clothing pattern because of our shoelaces and because of our drawstrings, 85%, give or take, of the whole Earth's population of human beings are right-handed. So, if you do tie, we did the left-handed knots, let's show it right-handed, because this would be what most all people would be in, having most all people being right-handed across the earth. That's just the case in modern day, at least, 2025. If you tie a right-handed knot at the pelvis, your pelvis goes forward or anterior and to the left. Now, you're going to be like this, traveling down internal rotation of the left foot from the hip and external rotation of the right foot from the hip. Okay, so yeah, right? Internal rotation closest to the body's center, external rotation farther out. Okay, so internal on the left, external on the right. That's the same thing as if you were to tie a right-handed knot at the feet, on the left foot as well as on the right foot. Now you're walking around like this. And now this is exaggerated from most cases, but we see this in our lives. This is the right-handed patterning. Lower on the right side, dropped farther out from the body, more externally rotated. And this is our lives. This is the right-handed world, external on the right side. When the body's center is where we need to get to have the most strength. Musculature just connects to the center of the body. Arches grip inward. The muscles connect from out at the shoulder to the sternum in the center. They connect from out at the shoulder to the spine in the center. And that happens on both sides of the body. And the center line is where we are the strongest. Just picture like this pole. The more you can get it centered or balanced, the stronger it is, or the better it'll stay vertical. And with musculature in the body only contracting, meaning getting shorter, that's where it'll do that, is to the center of the body. Okay, this is a big thing. Stretch within clothing didn't even exist just decades ago, and then ever before then. And stretch goes the opposite direction of the only way that muscles could ever work. So stretching the body itself is damaging, and I understand where it comes from and why people feel they need to, but it is damaging to the body. You're just pulling on musculature when it only works by shortening. And within stretchy clothing, your muscles are always, in a sense, being pulled on. Okay? So, the point being, other than that's just information we give and that's just the truth, and that's good to say, correlating it with the external rotation is stretching the body away from itself, away from its center line, is externally rotating it, okay? Rather than internal rotation, which is essentially what those gripped arches do, is pull in internal to the neutral, and then there you go, with everything being able to clear and track in line for the dorsiflexion and plantar flexion. Okay, so anyway, yeah, this right-handed patterning that we get ourselves into, this is how people walk. And what's the problem with this at the feet is, yeah, man, I love this video. The problem with this at the feet is what I'm saying is now you've got discrepancy, meaning differences left to right in dorsiflexion versus plantar flexion. Because what we have is our left foot in a right-handed patterning, in the body being more external on the right side and more internal in correlation on the left side. The left foot is more dorsiflexed and the right foot is more plantar flexed. And so this travels up and we get tightness and we get binding and we get rotation discrepancies and we get multiple aircrafts at the same time. Okay, just waiting out the noise until it's at least a little bit quieter. But we are in the Image Clothing Company, raw, real, blunt, bold, just as it is. Okay, airplanes, there's an airport in this town, as I've mentioned in past In the Image Clothing Company content. But if we already start anything we ever do in life with differences in plantar flexion versus dorsiflexion in our feet, then everything we do in our lives, being locked in, if you will, from a rope, either at the feet or at the hips, then we're training a patterning, and you can't train the human body. It's just a mechanical machine with neutrals to everything. But you're training an imbalance through scar tissue getting built up throughout the body. So we need, like I'm showing, not only even arch grips, right? This is a big video, and so it's like having stuff come up, right? Our arches need to be both even grippedness, right? But also even flexion. And where is the neutral for the flexion of the ankles, right? How do we find that? Well, if we're just standing, this position, meaning that angle at the ankle, is the neutral, just standing vertical on earth. And so here is where we need to be, because as we walk, what we're doing is actually, watch my left leg here, dorsiflexion, okay, plantar flexion. And then you've got the left leg here and the sprinklers are turning on. The left leg here now plantar flexes. We step forward and the right leg dorsiflexes, okay? Now there's some plantar flexion on the left leg, and then we plantar flex back here on the right leg, swing forward, and we dorsiflex on the left, right? So that's how walking is it's just plantar flexion and dorsiflexion. That's how standing is it's just an evenness to plantar flexion and dorsiflexion, so that we can have an even position, right? Not excessively dorsiflexed and not excessively plantar flexed, okay? But like I showed with what the hips will do traveling down to the feet with the rotations here from a drawstring, the shoulders will do that as well. The hips connect to the shoulders through the spine, and if the shoulders are uneven, well then your hips will just compensate as well. Now going down to your feet will compensate, okay? And so it's just the whole body, right? Shoulders go, hips go, feet go, okay? My hands here are gonna show what my feet are doing, and watch my shoulders, hips, and feet all just compensating, starting at the top and going down. This device is not waterproof, and this sprinkler almost certainly is going to spray it. It is what it is. So then what we have, I'm gonna get sprayed as well if I stand right here. Yeah, there you go. Hold on, I'll just get a little bit of a shower real quick. Holy cow. All right, so yes, that's about it, honestly. Just understanding that we have to correlate what's happening at the shoulders with the hips, and then from there down to the feet, and it's all just connected. The human body is just a mechanical machine placed onto a rock in space. Everything has to be in its neutrals, and then we just have motion on both sides of that, okay? Evenly on both sides of the centered line of the human body. So there you go. I got a little bit of a shower. Now, the big thing to mention is the jaw. That's why we say it so often. That's why it's in our intros. The jaw naturally stabilizes the entire body. Eating and drinking with the left hand is a video we have under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company, because if you're always drinking with just your right hand, and really what it means by eating and drinking with the left hand is just non-dominant. Eating with one hand only, drinking with one hand only, we're training our bodies into a rotation. And now, look at where the flexion of your ankles will be from eating with your right hand, right? Same thing as these other things we've discussed through the whole body. So, right, eating with your non-dominant hand, which will be the left for most all people, at least the vast majority of people across the earth, then we can have our jaw stay centered. our jaw does naturally just, man, hold on. Camera's gonna get sprayed again with some water, and then me too as well, for the second time. Check it out. Wow, okay. Teeth naturally just grind down. We're just using friction, we're just grinding food smaller to be able to swallow it. So, always eating with one side of the body, we're grinding our teeth down, moving our jaw off to the side, and it travels through our whole body because our jaw stabilizes everything on Earth's gravity's center, and it needs to be in our body's center line. We have a video titled Workouts Don't Help the Jaw under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company, and we put a lot of importance and focus and emphasis on the jaw and keeping it centered. We have lots of videos I could reference, any one out of the hundreds we have as of today's date, but I'll wrap this up, and this is good. There you go though. Just remember, don't stretch your calves, don't try to work on your feet and ankles like that to get them even. Come up to your hips, come up to your shoulders, come out to your hands, keep everything neutral. Remember your jaw, and it's the whole body, and clothing just has to fit. So we talk about the right side of the body being almost the only side you need to address when it comes to ridding scar tissue and releasing patternings from the human body because of the right-handed world. So things like dorsiflexion of the right foot is a video we have because in a right-handed patterning, it's already in plantar flexion most always. We need to get dorsiflexion of the right foot to have internal rotation up the whole body, and just to get it even with the left side if we've been in a right-handed patterning, okay? But everything, anything, all the way up through clothing, all the way up to the tip of the head or the tips of the hands that could alter the body in any way will go down to the feet because they're stabilizing the body, and they just need to be able to be even, okay? So there you go, stick around for the poodles. Same thing with dogs. So much happens with dogs through imbalances. If they have a collar placed on them and then they're eating, their jaw will get imbalanced if the collar is imbalanced, and that will go through their whole lives. And similar things just with mechanics of the dogs as we speak on with human beings' bodies. So there you go. Today's the 24th of September 2025. My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In The Image Clothing Company. There's so much more that I could say, but this is what this video will be, and this is all it needs to be for the explanation of this. Check out the other things we do have, because what I'm saying really with there's more that I could say is just everything within the whole body affects everything else in the whole body. Not that that would necessarily correlate just like that I just showed, but it's all connected. It all has to stay neutral, and so we discuss the anatomy of the human body in depth and allow it to work. So check us out, stick around, and thank you. Shout out to the free shower.